Hi, this is Paul Sanneman from Business Success Tips, where we can learn to make more money in less time and have more fun. The more fun is the most important part. I have as my guest today Martin Holland from Anneal Business Coaching, and he's been doing this a while, so that's all good. So, Martin, tell me a little bit about how you got into coaching and your background, so our audience can understand about who you are.
Okay, thank you. Well, I've been in private business, small business for 49 years, be 50 here pretty soon. Over that span, I've started or helped start 8 small businesses. 2 of them failed. 4 of them, my partners and I sold them, and I'm still active in 2. When I sold my last business in 2010, I think it was, I decided I didn't want to do that again because starting a business is
And what were the businesses in, just for curiosity?
well, if I agricultural commodities, right? That's one. Novel patented material for downhole oil well pumping. I was a contractor, an irrigation contractor. Started a spinoff out of the University of Oklahoma. We had genetic materials that conferred pest and pathogen resistance to crops. Water treatment. We actually didn't treat water, but we treated water treatment facilities around the world. So basically it was a chemical company. Coaching is one of them. I think I'm not counting. I hope somebody's not counting. I think I missed something.
You know, you're a lot. I mean, you sound like definitely a successful serial entrepreneur, as I would call you, right?
80% successful.
Well, you got to win more than you lose, and you're good, right?
Yeah. No, it's been a lot of fun. And when I sold the last one, as I started to say there, I didn't want to do that again, and I thought maybe I could help other people. And coaching was not as common a thing as it is now, but I thought, I'll be a coach. And so I have been ever since then. Took a couple of years to really figure out how to do it. Just because I know something doesn't mean that I'm a good helpmate in helping other people succeed, but kind of got the knack of it, and I will not stop. I'm going to surf the wave till it hits the beach.
There you go.
It's so much fun. And you actually get to help people and see it and see that they realize that you help them is the most wonderful feeling in the world. Second only, I guess, to getting paid to do that.
There you go. Getting paid to have fun. You know, what is it? Do what you love and the money will follow. Somebody wrote a book about it. So tell me, what's your style? I've been interviewing a lot of coaches, and I'd like to know, everybody has a sort of unique style. What do you think makes you different, more successful, or as successful as you are coaching? What premise do you run under what kind of clients do you deal with?
Well, it might be a bland answer, but all coaching is exceedingly personal. You can connect and relate to people in a way that they can gain information from you, and that you truly help and you truly care. So that's the number one thing. I'm me. I have a unique set of experiences. Other coaches doesn't mean I'm better than other coaches. They have their own. I do have a philosophy and I don't know, I guess a curriculum that I follow. Just signed up a client here half hour before you left and went through it. And so I have an approach to business. And one thing that you didn't ask me, but maybe was implied in your question, all businesses are unique, but all businesses are the same. That's why most of my clients are contracting, manufacturing, home builders. And when I say most, I mean slightly over 50%. I've had psychiatrists as a client, retailers, a publisher, insurance people. I mean, every name a business, and I've probably worked with it. People say, well, how can you do that? I said, because all businesses are the same. And I'm talking too much here if you want to ask some questions.
No, that's fine. I'm still going, most of our audience is construction, just so you know. They're mostly contractors between 2 million and 20 million. They're small guys, right?
That's totally in my wheelhouse. I love it.
So these guys, the typical guy that would be listening to this podcast is a contractor. He was a finished contractor, I'm a finished framer, or whatever it is, a finished guy. He started his business. He's got 4 or 5 guys, and he's frustrated because it isn't what he thought it would be. He gets going and he can't make that transition. I'm going to call it transition from a craftsman to a leader, or a craftsman to entrepreneur. They have a real hard time with that. So how do you help people make that transition from, like, say, a craftsman to an entrepreneur?
Well, there's a speech I give on exactly that topic, although I don't call it craftsman to entrepreneur. I talk about it as being somebody who wants to do something and decides to get in the business of doing that.
Okay.
And my point that I make is that being in the business of doing something that you're good at and you love is an entirely different animal than just doing it, right?
Okay.
And the reason for that, this is my framework for coaching, is I consider there to be 4 fundamental areas of business. One of them is what I call guiding the business, which is leadership. It's having a vision for the company, a culture in the company, your imprimatur, your stamp on being organized, having plans, having goals, incentivizing people, holding people accountable. If I didn't say culture, I need to, because vision and culture are the 2 most important. That's one area of business. Second area, that was guiding. The second area is getting the business, and that's marketing and sales. Everybody's heard about marketing and sales. Precious few are good at it. Even in this day and age, if you ask people where they got their business, they will tell you word of mouth. And I say, fine, show me your referral program. And they, my what?
Right. I mean, these guys, some guys think, well, I do a great job and answer the phone. Isn't that enough? And it isn't.
Well, it's certainly a prerequisite. You better answer the phone.
That's
but
right.
it's not enough. But so you've got guiding the business, you've got getting the business. Doing the business is delivering whatever it is you sold on time, on budget, with a raving fan left as a client, right?
Okay.
Profitably. Most people can do that. Okay. That I deal with. And then the last one, so guiding, getting, doing, and the last one is administration. You have to administer your business. And that's the one more than anything else that wipes people out. Administration, I describe to people who started their own businesses as being all the things you had never even heard of when you began your business. That's bookkeeping.
Give me an example. What is contract administration?
Bookkeeping, cash flow issues, financials, that's all kind of under the same, but it's HR, it's hiring and firing people, it's IT. I keep my own computers, I do this. Right. It's insurance, it's having a banking relationship, it's dealing with regulators, it's paying taxes, it's doing the mundane little things that you have to do with unemployment and workman's comp and franchise taxes, not just payroll, but it's an endless list. And
that's true.
And people are not even aware of it generally, let alone good at it. And very few contractors or builders or manufacturers I've met go broke because they are not good at doing what they do. They go broke because something ambushes them that they'd never even heard of. And I got lots of examples of those if you want.
I'd like to hear one just for fun.
Okay. Got a call from a lady who ran a home care business. This is the kindest, most wonderful, generous, beautiful person you ever met. And she said, can I come over? Come on over. I got a letter. She hands me the letter and it says, dear, her name is Linda, and I have the permission to use it. It said, dear Linda, Oklahoma Workers' Comp Commission has audited your books and blah, blah, blah. We've determined you're out of compliance. The fine is $1,450,000.
Are you kidding?
In a letter, please return the amount in the enclosed envelope.
$1 million.
This lady sales was $500,000 a year.
Right.
Now we negotiated that down to $43,000 from $1 million.
Whoa.
I don't have the letter in front of me, but $1.5 million. But she paid it. Okay. She thought, oh, I'll just have my contractors pay their own workers' comp. Well, first of all, the contractors she called contractors weren't. They should have been employees, but that's an IRS issue. Right. Workman's comp goes, no, we don't roll that way. And So send us
Whoa.
$45,000, $43,750.
That's
So
crazy. Well,
there you go.
there's one. And also, a lot of contractors don't expect they're going to be a collection agency, right?
Right. Oh, talking to non-business owners that I know, whom I love business owners. I think they're the point of the spear. It's the highest calling. You take this risk. You provide. Everything comes from a share of your profits. You employ people. It's the highest calling in my book. About
Great.
2-3% of the people in the United States are suitable to be business owners, right? And you talk to people about what is it about being a business owner? It's that you take that weight on your shoulders with no assurances that you're going to receive any reward, and nobody cares. I mean, your spouse might care.
But she
but
just
the
wants a
other people-
paycheck. Just kidding. Right? Just
Yeah,
wants-
well, or he, you know,
or he.
My
Right.
wife has her own business,
Right.
and it's fantastic. But I forgot really the real reason I was bringing that point up.
It was about collections. I mean, what happens?
That's it. Yeah. So ask somebody. Like, I remember talking to a guy, said, I started thinking about starting a business. I said, well, these issues like accounts receivable, and sometimes you don't get paid. The guy looks at me and goes, by God, I'll get paid. And I just go, yeah, right.
Right.
You know, no idea. No
now,
idea.
I've got a question. As a coach, one of my clients, I've done this for 40 years, biggest problem is not getting paid by their clients. In other words, they do the job, especially if they're doing a big house or something. And the problem is the person they're working for is smarter and has more influence than they do, right? They're showing up with a gunfight with a knife and the guy's got a machine gun. So if you're coaching your client, specific scenario, how do you help them get paid when the client says, nah, see me in court, or I don't think, and we're talking $100,000. It's not little money. It's big money.
Since you said we're talking about contractors, there's a whole lot of stuff to that answer.
Okay.
And number one is prompt billing. If you get done with the job at 3:00 today, bill that son of a gun by 3:30. Don't wait till tomorrow morning. Prompt billing.
Right.
I asked this question, and I ask it of your listeners. Have you ever forgotten to bill anybody? And if you tell me, no, I never have, I say, how do you know? And I'll also, I mean, I'm not going to call anybody a liar, but everybody, oh yeah, I remember this. And it was 120 days later, and I remembered, and then I thought, oh, that's too late. I won't send them the bill. Right.
Right. I've heard that.
But since we're talking about contractors, these are state laws, and I don't know all of them, but you have a superpower, and it's called the mechanics lien. Okay. And I have a plumber who got stiffed by a home builder. I said, no, we're not doing that. You know, we're not letting a bully beat us out of 50%. I offered to settle for 50%. Well, probably if everybody's in contracting, they've heard of liens.
Right.
I wish we had it in some other businesses, but we don't. But in contracting, you do. I have an attorney friend who has a little system that he installs and the owner doesn't have to do this. Bookkeeper, receptionist can do this. At the time you sell the job, you gather the information that you need to file a lien.
Right.
You know, you don't want to be calling the day before a lien's due trying to get the legal description of the property, right?
Right.
So you gather that all up front. And then just for conversation purposes, let's say that your right to file a lien expires in 90 days.
Right. That's typical.
So you set a tickler in your calendar for the 80th day and put Johnson's lien is availability is expiring. And it pops up in your calendar. Go, oh yeah, they paid me. Forget it. They didn't pay you. Say you got 10 days, buddy. And you want to get prompt action. I love it when a bully goes, you better get those liens off my houses, and go, simple process. I'll drive over and meet you halfway to pick up a check. Right. So there's one way.
Okay.
There are a lot of other ways, but the prompt billing is, there's a great book by Jan Reeves. She's from New Zealand. We had her on our podcast probably a couple of years ago. She wrote a book called Get Paid.
Good title.
And it's a good book. And she just says, everybody operates on the premise that the guy's not paying me because he doesn't want to. And that does happen from time to time, but that's usually not the reason. You sent them an invoice and Wanda got it, and it should have gone to Jane. She eventually gets it to Jane, and Jane looks at it and says, well, that's not the number we have on the PO. I'm going to have to straighten that out. And I'll do that tomorrow. And they put it on a pile. And you missed their bill pay day, which is the 20th of the month. And now you're to the 20th of the next month. So when you start, there's a process. I have clients who do this. You send an invoice and you call, usually by electronically, and you call them up. Did you get the invoice? Hey, we're going to pay you. No, I'm just checking. Boss wants me to check. Did you get the invoice? Yes, we did. Does everything look all right? Because if not, I can get it straightened out. No, looks good. Or yeah, oh no, this is wrong. And you handle all that stuff. So a lot of times not getting paid is on us. And then of course there is the fundamental reason, do good work, pay attention to who you're doing business with, do what you say you're going to do. Don't give them a reason to not pay you. And then there's some people out there who just, they're cheats and crooks.
Right.
And
but that happens.
That's really rare.
Yeah. I mean, it is, you're right. I think the not getting paid part falls on the contractor's issue. Because if you have the right process, and I love that idea, that things you never heard about, you can put in processes so you will get paid. But very few contractors have that as part of their process for like, they don't have a system to make sure they get paid. Right. So let's talk about other processes. What you do marketing. What are some successful marketing things you put in place for contractors?
Well, I don't consider myself a marketer.
Right.
I refer that out, but there are principles of marketing. I divide marketing into 3 areas when I just talk to people in general, and I call it strategy, content, and buttons, BUTTONS.
Okay.
You need all 3 of them. Buttons is the ability to schedule your Facebook, to define the demographics you want to approach, to build a website, to put it's computer stuff, right?
Right.
If you want to call it that. There are about 50 million people in the United States who can do that.
Right.
I am not one of them. I can do a little bit, but that's the technical, get it out there, right? So that's on one end of the spectrum. There's strategy. Strategy is, do you know the most, and this is a rhetorical question to you, do you know the most important question in marketing? And the answer to that is, to whom am I speaking? I'm a contractor. Am I doing commercial work? Am I doing high-end patios and pools for the rich people on the rich side of town? Am I a paving they are dear. Well, I can do all of those things. I said, well, that's fine. But you put something out there that says I can do everything. You're not marketing. If you market to everybody, you're marketing to nobody.
Got it.
So the first thing is you have to know to whom you're speaking. And you can have 4 or 5 markets, but each market is a separate marketing campaign, second marketing effort. So it begins with who are they? Then the next question is, what do they care about? Not what do I care about? When I see a website and the banner is all about who you are and how long you've been in business and all the awards that you've won, they do not get it. Because that's about me. It's about you. Say, are you tired of tripping over the broken step going into your garage?
Right.
Are you ready to accept the liability for that when somebody trips and breaks their leg? Or that's not a very exciting example, but you need to understand specifically what they care about, and your marketing has to address that. Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Well, then the next thing is still in strategy, or what channels do I use to reach those people? Nowadays, if you're trying to reach millennials, you don't use Facebook. You want to reach 50-year-olds, you use Facebook. Something people have told me, right? Not the expert. But you don't maybe use the AARP magazine to advertise your bungee jumping concession at the Royal Gorge, right? So what channels are, what's my market? What do they care about? How do I reach them? And what offer can I give them that's compelling? Okay. So we have the button clicking, which is the technical ability to get it out. You have the strategy. Who am I addressing? What do they care about? What's my offer? What channels do I use? And in the middle, you have content. I'm thinking of three circles
Right.
and you can see that. I don't know if
Right.
listeners can, but in
Right.
the middle is content, and content is what is your actual ad or picture or video or blog. What does it, is it any good? Right? Everybody's
Right.
using Chat GPT to write their blogs now. And actually, some of them pretty good.
I
But
know.
if you just letting Chat GPT write your blogs and you don't edit or anything, and it's on a subject nobody cares about, your content is terrible.
Right.
So marketing means you have to have all three of those pieces. And you, as a business owner or a contractor, have to recognize what's good and what's not. That's your role. You don't necessarily have to write the content. You don't necessarily have to do all the strategy, but you need to tell when somebody comes in and wants 5,000 a month, and I'll do your SEO and I'll get you on the front page. And there are so many things contractors can do besides paying 5,000 a month to get SEO.
Agree.
I mean,
You know, one
go
thing I
ahead.
was thinking about is I brought up something for me. I know a lot of, you have to sort of define your market. For example, a lot of contractors I've worked in the past, their market is really architects. They think it's the end user, but the architects are people that can refer them
Excellent.
all to business. So the person they have to keep happy is the architect, because the architect is really their client, not the end user, right? And
Yep.
I like what you said about what keeps the architect happy, not
Right.
what keeps the homeowner that he builds the thing
Right.
for, because the client's really the architect.
I have a client at this very moment. He's a new client as of last week. And his first, we do a lot of things, but his first assignment, he's a remodeler in Colorado. His first assignment is to visit 6 designers with a questionnaire. He walks in and he says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so from so-and-so, Alex Weeks from North Built Construction." Okay. North Built, construction.
Right.
So there's a plug if anybody's in Denver.
Right.
His job is to find what they're unhappy with contractors they work with, and what they're pleased with, and what the perfect contractor relationship would be. That's his sole job. And he walks in and he said, "I am trying to become the contractor of choice for every designer. Can you please tell me what annoys you and what thrills you?" And he sent me yesterday his first run at it. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, some of them communication, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Some of them, 2 of them that jumped at me as being a little unique was, one was, don't talk about problems in front of the customer. Come to me and tell me about it. Right. In other words, preserve my reputation.
Like, don't throw me under the bus. A bad idea.
Right. Well, even if it isn't throwing them under, just let me know first.
Right.
Keep me in the loop. Right. And what was the other one that, that you'll tell me in advance if you think my designs will work. Because designers do all this stuff on paper and paper mache.
Right.
Well,
you
can't build that. Well, tell me that. And I'm going, holy cow, they're inviting you into their inner circle.
Right.
And he's got about 10 of each. And we're going to craft them into a document that says one of our highest priorities is to protect your design ideas. One of our highest priorities is protect your relationship with your customer. One of our highest priorities is to protect your profitability. And we want to communicate and yada, yada, yada.
You know, and as I was thinking, Martin, if you only need, and I've built a lot of construction companies, if you have 10 architects that love you, you're done. That's 10 million a year, right? But a lot of these guys end up going to the end user, which is way harder to do. You know, and they say they go in Facebook or whatever. They're competing with, LinkedIn, all those other places where they're, well, I don't know, where they're like getting hammered by the people they're shopping versus going to somebody who actually controls the client.
Right. And they're force multipliers. You're talking to build a relationship and you communicate well with one person and you're reaching 5 clients. I mean, you're getting 5 jobs out of that.
Right.
So that doesn't always work for everybody. Generally we can find some, I'm struggling for the word, but basically influencers.
Center of influence, right? They can send you to work.
And you know what the cost of that is?
Lunch.
0. Yeah. Or if they don't want to go to lunch with you, set an appointment and talk to them for 20 minutes and say, and you might have to go back 4 times. And I've got one guy who takes donuts by every month.
Well, I was a numbers story just Martin. I've done this for years. And you have to visit architects 7 times
There you go.
before they're
Yeah,
going to send you any work. And
right.
unfortunately, a lot of people do not have the patience. They visit them twice, tell them how great they are, and say they'll call me if they need somebody, which doesn't work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they have to get where they recognize you or duck you at the football game because they
Right.
don't want to see you again. Oh no,
Right.
but like you said, it's lunch. That's way less than 5,000 a month
Right.
for SEO. You do have
Right.
to have a good website. I don't want anybody to think
Right.
they have to have a place to go
Right.
check you out.
You've got to pass, you got to have pass muster as being a legitimate contractor, but
Right.
that's true. So you've worked a lot of contractors. Give me some stories of people you helped and how you helped them, some specifics. I think our audience would be interested in that.
I'll give you a specific guy named Sergio Garcia. He's like a son to me. I hope he doesn't hear this because I hate to get good things about. I love this guy. He came in. He does. It's called Alpha Surfaces. It's here in Oklahoma, and it's granite, but it's quartz and porcelain and floor. And
Right.
It's fancy stuff. He's about a $2.5 million business. I met him about 8 years ago. He's a Hispanic guy in the Hispanic community, brilliant guy. But he said, this is the way we do business. We take cash for this job. We get a check for a job. We take it to the 3% place, and they take 3% and give me cash. And, he wasn't even thinking, I'm not doing anything wrong. It's just what everybody does.
Right.
And I said, well, to start off with, we ain't doing any of that. You want to be a real business? We're going to do things right. And it will force you to price things and get efficient and so on, so you can make money doing things right. We're not doing I don't even want to kind of impugn him because he's so wonderful. He said, okay. And at the time I met him, they were out of cash and they owed significant 6 digits to suppliers. And other people did too. There was a downturn in there that caused a lot of them to go out. And they didn't pay. They just stiffed the suppliers and walked away. I said, well, we don't do that, Sergio. He goes, no, sir, I'm not going to do that. So first thing is we installed really good books, gave him an understanding of margins and break even and things like that. And we measure things, labor cost per square foot of product produced is the most important by far measure that we use with him. And anyway, over a period of years, he paid all of his suppliers. He's making significant 6-digit profit on $2.5 million in sales, which is, in that 20% range is like serious. We have just begun, although we've talked about it, but we've brought in a professional for lean manufacturing, which, by the way, I said manufacturing, lean applies to contracting as well.
Right.
And it's where you reduce waste by putting processes in and setting things up. And he is over the top thrilled. All of his guys are thrilled. They're loving it. They're watching the price of labor per square foot drop, right? And so he's one of my favorite success stories. And he's on our podcast. Fascinating how he got to the United States, what he did and how he got in trouble and how he got out. On our podcast, it's an episode called Mo Money, Mo Problems. And if you listen to that, you'll fall in love with the guy too. He's just
great. So
magnificent.
That's great. And a lot of how do you get people to listen to you? I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years. Probably my biggest issue is not knowing what to do. It's getting people to do it. I mean, like, all you have to lose weight, eat right and exercise, we're done. But we have a fat country. So
how do you do it? I'm sorry.
I mean, how do you pull that?
Well, basically, I don't take people who aren't going to do it. And we part company because I can get paid and have an anxious feeling. Matter of fact, I've got a conversation with one after this podcast today. It's come to Papa and we're going to figure this out. You give me money to help you and then nothing happens. My wife tells me quit worrying about it, but I don't. I feel like I don't feel good about that. So we're either going to fix that or graciously part company, because people who do that, it's like people who sign up for the gym on January 1st, right? Okay, man, I've done something. I signed up.
Right.
But they never go back, right? Well, that's like paying your gym membership every month and saying, yeah, I'm doing something. I'm signed up, but you're not doing anything. Right. So we don't work together. And I've learned to spot them up front.
So how do you spot them up front? Let me know.
It's all blow and no go. There is an enthusiasm. One of the first things that I do with clients, because it's universal, you're the people listening, there might be one out there. You have terrible books. You do not know if you made money last month. You do not know if you made money last quarter. You do not know if you made money last year until you get your taxes. And then you don't understand what's on there. And either, oh, wow, I made that much. How'd that happen? Or surely I made more than that. Right.
Right.
So we start with books. And you want to talk about the weed out program. You start with books because it's a pain in the butt. Now, they don't do it. I get an accountant to do it, but they've got to provide the accountant information. And they go, well, this is costing me money and I don't understand why I need it. And they're pushing back. And literally, I'm sorry, we can't work together. That is the foundation. We may have to do something first, like get you some more sales so you have some cash when I work with somebody. But generally, that's the first thing. You have to have good books. You do not have to do them. You have to cause them to be done. And then you, contractor, have to learn what they're telling you because they are a map. They tell you precisely. Yeah, it's over. They tell you what you need to do, what you must do. Without that, you're just floundering in a puddle.
Well, I use analogy lots of times, like you're flying an airplane, right? If you're flying a Piper Cub, there's the sky, don't hit anything. But the minute you get a faster airplane and your business goes from 2 guys in a truck to 1 million, it's more like flying a faster plane. By the time you get to coupling, you're flying a jet. If you don't have the right information, you're dead.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
Well, you're dead in that Piper Cub too.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. What they say about them is they are just powerful enough to barely be able to kill you.
I see.
But they can. Right.
They can.
No, you can't do it without information. And I try to not sound so much like a jerk, I guess. I say, you don't understand books, but why would you? Why would you? You've been a contractor. It doesn't make you stupid or anything else. It's just, why would you know books?
Right.
It's one of those things you don't know about when you start business. But now you do know about books because I just told you.
Right.
If you're going to fight me every step of the way, then save your money and I'll use my time somewhere else. So, and that doesn't happen very often. By the time they come to me and they've called me, they know they need help and then they think.
Well, Martin, speaking of that, how do people get in touch with you? Let's say somebody listening today says, hey, Martin looks like my kind of guy. He's been an entrepreneur. He's had a lot of experience. He's not, he's no offense, a lot of coaches have never actually done anything. They've just been coaches. Right. So it's like, you've actually done the thing, which is great. So how do they get in touch with you and how does that work?
Well, it doesn't cost anything to talk to me. I have a website, www, of course, annealbc.com, and that's ANNEALBC.com. And you can go on there and schedule a time, and I'm happy to talk to anybody.
Okay.
I'll give them the best advice I can. How do you
structure your fees for your service, or does it depend on the client? How do you?
I charge, if I meet weekly with a client, I charge a fee. If I meet every other week, it's a little more than half of that. If we meet once a week, a month. Every other week, if we meet once a month, it's not half of the half, but scaled up a little bit to meet. And a lot of my clients, most, are good at every 2 weeks, every other week, because I give assignments. Every coaching session I have, we begin with general principles. We talk about things like we're talking about today. That's worthless unless we reduce it in every session to do this by the next time we meet.
Right.
Do this, like the guy just told you he's supposed to interview the designers.
Right.
And we're not meeting until next week, but he's already sending me material. I'll go, yeah, this guy gets it. And what he's getting, like I said, it's gold. I'm going to use it all over the place. And you don't sound like, oh, integrity, trust, and we're guaranteed, Right. Okay, those are good words, but everybody uses them and they're absolutely invisible in marketing.
I've talked a lot of architects, the contractor comes and says, we build the best job, we're really good, and talks all about themselves. And I go, you missed the thing altogether. I love what you said, Martin, about find out what they need, not what you need. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And that's a great approach to them. I'm trying to be the contractor of choice for architects in this area. He said, I'm here if I can take 30 minutes of your time to find out what you don't like and what would be perfect. It gives me something to work with.
Absolutely.
Right? And they'll do it.
Thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate your time. And if you're listening to this podcast, I think you should definitely give Martin a call. And for my son, if you like the podcast, fill out the subscribe button below. He always tells me to say it. Anyhow, thank you for being here, Martin. I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
And I hope some people give you a call because you got some great insights.
Okay. Well, thank you.